Okay, I think I have to address the elephant in the room before I even talk about this game and the games that happened this past weekend. Yeah, I was wrong. I was 0 for 2. I did not think I was going to be 0 for 2. I legitimately thought I was going to be 2 and 0, or at the very least 50%. But I didn't get either game right. And it makes looking back at it, it makes sense as to why I was wrong. The better team won in both these games. I was just flat out wrong with who the better team was. So this makes this national championship very interesting to me. And that is, we have Washington and Michigan, the number one and number two team in the country, facing off in Houston for the national championship game. And it's kind of fitting that in the last year of the Pac 12's existence, we have them in the national championship game versus a Big Ten team in what will be, in my opinion, and I think what is legitimately the final Rose Bowl. Because given the Pac 12 is not a thing no more, what is going to happen with the Rose Bowl when it's not in a playoff type? Well, I think now that the playoffs expanding, I think all the New Year's Six bowls are going to be playoff games. But still, it's just we're losing the tradition of the Rose Bowl, and this is the final one. And honestly, the Rose Bowl is probably the best bowl game out of all of them. I mean, just the scenery, how the game looks. Like watching the Alabama Michigan game, it was just such a good watch visually. Like the feel, it just, man, it just looks nice. It's one of those places that I would love to play. It's never going to happen, but I would like to at least go there one day, and that's the goal and that's the dream. Let's first of all, before I even get into my national championship prediction and preview, I think it would be smart just to talk about the two games that happened. And we're going to start in chronological order with Michigan and Alabama, which was a really, really good game that I think Michigan played around with Alabama at first. In all honesty, this game shouldn't have been as close as it was. I mean, literally in this game, Michigan's special teams said, I'm rooting for Bama, and gave Bama every single chance. Basically gave them the first points of the game off that muff punt. And if Michigan doesn't have those special teams errors, I think we're looking at a game that Michigan wins by maybe 2 scores in regulation. And I think I really, undervalue how good of a team Michigan was. I mean, this is the best team in the country with just how they handled Bama. And I also walked away from this game giving Nick Saban a lot of props. This was nowhere near one of the best teams Nick Saban has. It's honestly been one of the worst he's had in the past 5 years, if we're being honest. So it's kind of, him and his coaching staff have done a hell of a coaching job when it comes to just getting them to this point. And honestly, I was also kind of wrong about the quarterbacks in this game. JJ McCarthy in this game, was a better playmaker than Jalen Milroe. I think it did help that JJ McCarthy does have the better weapons, the better offensive line, the better backfield, and I don't want to even say better receivers, but the better backfield and offensive line. And Jalen Milroe did not make enough plays to win this game. And that final play, when I first saw it, I was like, wow, that's the dumbest play call imaginable. Why are you calling a quarterback draw from the 3-yard line with no extra blockers? But then I rewatched and I saw someone point this out to me. It was a RPO. If you notice on that play, you have the running back motion out. And since the linebacker was following the running back, it was supposed to be a run. But then if you look at the snap, it was snapped so low that Jalen Miller didn't even have a chance to make a decision. And honestly, when I look back at the play and look at the numbers, I would have thrown it to the back because I like the back with enough blockers and a one-on-one with the linebacker having to chase him rather than Jalen Miller literally running into the offensive line. And yes, there was kind of a hole, but it all starts with a bad snap, which happened a lot in that game. It's very unusual to see Alabama have such, I don't want to say poor offensive line play, but not that good. I mean, they let up 5 sacks in the first half, and those weren't on the quarterback. Michigan was getting a ton of pressure, and they were confusing Alabama when it comes to Michigan's defense versus Alabama's offense. So Michigan entirely proved me wrong, and I give them a newfound respect. Then I also give Nick Saban a ton of respect for even getting this Alabama team to this point right here. This Alabama team, based off what we saw early on in the year, they should not be where they are today. Jalen Milroe, based off what we saw at the beginning of this year, should not be where he is today. But it's Alabama. They made it work and got to this point. Now on to the Sugar Bowl. The Sugar Bowl This was the game I watched completely, and I was wrong about this game. And Texas is a really good team. That's the one thing I want to say. This is probably Texas' best team since like 2009, 2008. So that's part of the reason why I picked them in this game. But Michael Penix in this offense impressed me so much. Like that is an NFL offense out there. And I heard somebody say that this Washington team can be compared to that 2019 LSU team. And when you hear the words and you hear that statement, you're normally like, "What? Whoa, whoa, let's chill." But then let's think about it. With LSU, yes, we knew they were really good in the moment, but like with most great college football teams, I think you don't realize how good they are until people start going into the league, until after the fact. And this Washington team, especially offensively, they have so much talent. Like these receivers, and Michael Penix was just making plays. Romeo Dumas is a first round pick, a top 10 pick. He has great size. I saw someone say that he's a bigger version of Chris Olave, and I completely agree with that comparison. They're both very smooth. Just like Romeo Dumas is a much, much bigger target. And it's not that these Texas DBs were getting burnt. They just couldn't stop them. And I know that's like, how is that different? But it's not like these Washington receivers were wide open. They were just making plays. Michael Penix was making great throws. And he went out there and played one of the best games of his life. And to me, proved as to why I honestly, when it comes to the draft, he is quarterback 3 to me. I feel like the quarterback rankings are probably going to go Caleb Williams, Drake May, Michael Penix, and Jaden Daniels, both like fighting it out. But me personally, Michael Penix, and he's making me think my Heisman vote, even though I don't have a vote, I literally tweeted this, that he, like, Jaden Daniels had an amazing, stellar year, but it shows that Michael Penix did have a right to be in there for that award and maybe should have won it. Now, he's probably going to be walking home the more happy man because he has a chance to win a national championship and Jaden Daniels did not, which is a travesty done by LSU. That defense was downright terrible. How do you waste that offense and that quarterback? But yeah, we got two. Those were two phenomenal semifinal games. And then from Texas, it's like, this is a building block. I expect Texas to be just as good next year. And I know it may not look like that record-wise because they do step into a much, much harder conference, which is this new and improved SEC, which is insane. But I expect this to be a building block. I expect Quinn Ewers to get better, if he's even the quarterback. Because we do have Archie Manning there, and he has said, and from the way he's been talking in interviews, he is not a guy that wants to sit on the bench ever again in his life. And I completely understand that. So what's going to happen with Quinn Ewers? What's going to happen with Archie Manning? So many questions. But I think Texas is on the right track. They clearly are doing something right. This was the first time they ever made the playoff, and in it, they fought in this game. Like the Texas of old of the past few years, they would have quit. Texas almost won this game, and they're Quinn Ewers' bad throw. I still don't know if that's like really a bad throw. I know a lot of people are saying just throw it at his chest, but then I look at the angle. I say the receiver also could have literally like cut. I don't want to say undercut him to get the ball, and I think throwing up a jump ball to a 6'2", 6'3", maybe even taller, Adidon Mitchell. I can never say his name right. I think that's not a bad decision. That's, in my opinion, the correct decision, and I guess you just live with that. Like, I'm fine with that. If I'm Texas, it's kind of funny how Washington almost lost his game due to injury timeouts and also a bad running into the kicker. Like, that was terrible. And I think a lot of people kind of forgot about that since they won this game. That if Texas would have won, that would have been a call. The injury timeouts, yes, they were definitely impactful because it helped stock the clock. But running into the kicker is crazy. But yeah, now the national championship stage is set, and we have Washington versus Michigan in Houston. I know I said coming into the semifinal matchups that I said the winner of the Texas-Washington game would be my favorite. And I mainly said that because I did think Alabama was going to beat Michigan. But now that I see this Michigan-Washington matchup, and after I looked at these games, and after I really thought about it, I'm going to have to go with Michigan. Mainly because I do believe they're a better overall team, and they had the defense that can at least slow Washington down. Because First of all, their defense, I really love their defense because they never show you what they're going to do. Against Alabama all day long, they would show pressure coming from here, but the pressure was coming on the other side. They would show pressure, but then would drop back. And they can get pressure with four. And also, they have a corner in Will Johnson who is I don't he is debatably the best corner in the country. He looked really good against Alabama. He also kind of did his thing at times against Marvin Harrison. Yes, Marvin Harrison did beat him overall because 9 times out of 10, the receiver is going to beat the DB because that's just how football has been made right now. Like, football is made for the offense to win. So if you're a DB and you just get a few wins, and even if that comes with a ton of losses, you did good. And he is someone who I can see match up on Romeo Dumas literally all day. They have the defense equipped to slow Washington down. And they also will be able to run the ball however they wish. Texas in this game was able to run the ball extremely well. And Quinn Ewers himself had 8 carries for 54 yards. And he was a quarterback that, yes, we knew that he could run, but that wasn't his thing. And J.J. McCarthy is an athlete. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if J.J. McCarthy can't exactly replicate this type of performance Quinn Ewers had, based off the fact that Washington now will be looking to stop that. But given how well Michigan runs the ball with Blake Corum, I would expect J.J. McCarthy to get loose a few times and add to that rushing total. And given they run the ball so much, they can use that to keep the ball out of Washington's offensive hands. They can slow them down. And they were clearly the better team against Bama. And if it wasn't for their special teams literally wanting Alabama to win, I believe, like I said before, they would have won by 2 or more scores. They were a much better team than Bama. They just at times weren't the best, most disciplined and well-coached team. Now, just because I believe Michigan will win doesn't believe I think Washington doesn't have a real chance. They have a real chance. And honestly, all year, people have been picking against Washington, telling him, oh, this is the place you're going to fall back down to earth. And they have yet to do that. These are 2 undefeated teams. They're undefeated for a reason. They're undefeated because nobody is as good as them. And honestly, like, the main reason I did choose Michigan is because, to me, running the ball matters. And the line of scrimmage matters. And I believe in this game, Michigan can win the line of scrimmage. But the one thing Michigan has yet to play is a team with this type of firepower. Yes, they may have seen receivers kind of like Washington's receivers and when they played Ohio State, but they have yet to see a quarterback like Michael Penix. He is balling right now. The way that he's able to throw balls in these tight windows, throw off platform, throw beautiful, beautiful deep balls, and the ways receivers come down with the ball. There were so many passes, especially early on with that like 70-plus yard pass to, I think, Jalen Lee or something like that. I can never pronounce his name. Like, they strive with that deep ball. He is able to throw pinpoint passes deep, which is so hard to do. And also, he's just smart. He's not going to turn the ball over. And that's going to be a key to this game. Whichever defense can force the turnover will win this game. Because both these teams in their semifinal matchups did not turn the ball over when it came to their offense. Yes, Michigan had a muff punt. And I think, no, Washington didn't have one either. But it's whatever defense can force the turnovers. And honestly, I just trust Michigan's defense more because they've shown me more throughout the year. But Washington, like I said before in the text video, they have that dog in them. They are fighters. They are going to fight. And this offense is an NFL type offense, not just by the way that they had the talent, it's by the way they ran. They're a team that, given they're such a high-powered offense, you assume they use tempo, but they really know how to switch it up very well. They can go fast, they can go slow, they can just pick and choose how they want to do it. And the route combinations, the motioning, the shifting is all beautiful. And for Washington to win, one thing they have to do is use the clock to their advantage. Take time off the clock. Take it off the clock. Make Michigan not be able to run the ball. Put the sense of urgency into Michigan. Make them feel like they have to match every single one of your scores. And I think they're going to have to with how high-powered your offense is. I just don't know if you're able to stop the running game. And then I also look at Washington. I'm like, will you be able to run the ball effectively? Like, against Texas, they did not run the ball well at all. I mean, their starting running back had like 21 carries for 50-some yards, but he did have 2 touchdowns, and he's banged up. He's hobbled. I don't know his status yet for this game. I could literally look it up, but I'm just going to assume, since it's the national championship game, he will be playing. But how healthy will he be? Now, the one thing I do love about that, I know a lot of people see that and say, why do you keep on running the ball? But you have to at least try to run the ball because that gives you the play action. And also in short yardage situations, you can't just throw the ball. It's literally the safer option to just run it. But and I think Michigan's defense is better than Texas. If Texas was able to stop the run, I believe Michigan will too. And that will make Washington one dimensional, which is not a bad thing because it forces them to be one dimensional with their strongest attribute, which is Michael Penix's arm and these receivers. So, yeah, I'm going to just have to take Michigan because I do believe they're the better overall team and they have more ways to beat you than Washington does. But I wouldn't be surprised if Washington comes out and wins. Me personally, I'm rooting for it. Michael Penix, after that post-game interview, is easily one of my favorite players now in college football.
Congratulations, enjoy. All right, thank you. Dade City, Tampa, Florida, we up. Hey, Free Hooligan, I remember you. I ain't forget about you, brother. Love y'all.
And I honestly hate Michigan. And that's mainly because of Mr. My Wife is White coach. Not because they're Michigan and I'm a Ohio State fan. Just because of that. But I think we're in for a great game. I expect a thriller. I expect one to come down to the fourth quarter, to the last minute. Maybe the last play like both of these semifinal games did. Like, we're not going to get a national championship like last year. That was just terrible. But I'm excited. So let me know in the comments below who you think will win. Do you think it'll be Washington? Do you think it'll be Michigan? And just let me know why. And please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and tell a friend to tell a friend. I love y'all. I'ma definitely give a reaction to this game. Hopefully I'm right. I can't go 0 for 3 in the playoffs. Like, I have to at least get one of these games right. Like, don't I?